So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you may be in the world. My name is Sophia Arend, and I'm the Global Blockchain Business Council's Communications and Content Lead. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to the GBBC Virtual Members Forum. This is a bi-weekly webinar we host showcasing the innovative work of our members around the world. And today we have the pleasure to be joined by Tanya Shastri, Vice President of Products for VMware Blockchain, for a presentation on VMware Blockchain and Financial Services. Before we begin, I'd like to briefly introduce Tanya. Tanya, as I mentioned, is VP of Products for Blockchain at VMware, where she leads product management and go-to-market for the Blockchain business unit. Prior to this, Tanya was at Google, where she headed strategic business development for Google Cloud Technology Partnerships. Previously, she co-founded Natero, a software as a service big data analytics platform, which was subsequently acquired. And earlier in her career, she worked to productize innovative technology in the CTO's office of NetApp, and she started her career at Cisco, where she held several roles in product management and software engineering. She holds an MBA from Haas at UC Berkeley and an MS in electrical engineering from SUNY at Stony Brook, New York. We welcome your questions at any point during today's webinar. You can submit them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we'll take them after Tanya's presentation. Thanks so much, Tanya, for joining us. We are looking forward to learning more about VMware.
Thanks, Sophia. Good morning, everyone from the Bay Area, California. I hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are. I'm looking forward to sharing an overview of VMware Blockchain with everyone. It is our distributed ledger technology platform that we've built from the ground up for the most business critical use cases. We've done it in close collaboration and deep co-innovation with our business partners and technology partners in the financial services industry. And I'm looking forward to sharing the details with you today. And with that, I'll get started. We have about 45 minutes, and I hope to have some time for Q&A in the end. So please go in and post your questions through the Q&A button here. And looking forward to the discussion after this. All right. A quick agenda. I'll start with a little bit of an industry transformation overview and what's happening in the financial services industry and how it's being driven by distributed ledger technology and blockchain. I'll spend some time on our product. That's the meat of the conversation, our product VMware Blockchain. And then I'll also share some case studies for customers in the financial services industry who are using our product. For those who aren't familiar with VMware, let me just start with a very, very brief introduction on VMware. VMware has a long heritage in the enterprise space, starting with virtualization technology, and today a wide portfolio of software that we bring to our enterprise customers so that they can have the digital foundation to run any application in any cloud for any device. And we also have a very strong customer base, a global customer base, and a deep appreciation for what it takes for our customers to run their business critical applications. All right, the industry transformation that's occurring, that's our first topic here. As you can see on the left-hand side, that's how the financial industry is really set up today. For multiple parties that are interacting with each other, each party typically has its own data silo, its own systems. And when parties have to interact with each other, it's typically done through a message-based system. Messages are transferred back and forth between each other. Given each one has their own data silo, there's a lot of data reconciliation required. This leads to errors. It leads to difficulty having audits, counterparty risk, disputes, and so on. And at the end of the day, that leads to reduced liquidity in the markets. We're seeing the transformation happening from this siloed system to a central shared source of truth between these multiple parties, so that when they're interacting, they don't really need to send messages across to each other anymore. They now have an API-based system, so they can actually engage with each other on the same version of truth. They're all seeing the same data. Given that there's no requirement of messages going forward, back and forth, there's no data reconciliation required. The errors are reduced. The time to settle transactions is reduced. This tremendously reduces the business risk, improves efficiency, and increases liquidity generally in the market. So that's at the baseline what blockchain and digital distributed ledger technology is driving in the industry. And we as VMware Blockchain play the role of that distributed ledger platform. I'll spend a minute here for those who aren't as familiar with distributed ledger technology and smart contracts to give the, at the core, what is the technology transformation, and then how does that then drive this broader industry transformation? So there are two key concepts. There's the blockchain or the distributed ledger, and there's a smart contract. The distributed ledger is essentially a network of nodes where these nodes all share the same state, in that the copy of the data that each of these distributed ledgers have is identical. And that happens through a combination of consensus, where all the nodes in the blockchain network agree with each other, and with cryptography, where every piece of data can be authenticated, cryptographically proven to be authentic, and so on. So it's this combination of cryptography and consensus that creates this central shared source of truth that all the parties that are interacting with each other can trust. And then there are smart contracts. Smart contracts are essentially computer programs or business logic that are run on the blockchain network. And it is through the combination of these two that you can have shared processes that all multiple parties can share. These can be standardized, automated, and more importantly, enforced. So it is through this enforcement of the business processes that all the parties involved can trust that the data is the same as what's shared with everyone, and the business process or the transaction execution will also be a valid transaction between all the participants. And when you take this in the context of a multi-party network, that then brings about this ability to have a central shared source of truth and be able to, for these multiple parties to all interoperate in a way where there is trust and reduction of all the inefficiencies in the current systems. Here, I just wanted to share with everyone, as you think about distributed ledger technology, what are some of the business contexts or characteristics that indicate that DLT can offer value? Given the points I made earlier about multiple parties being able to engage with each other trustfully, when there are multiple parties involved and they need to have trustful interactions, that's a good indication. When the multiple parties require a shared understanding of the truth, if they are transacting on some information where having the same information on both sides is required so that they can complete a transaction, where there are non-standard inefficient workflows today, for example, things that are happening either manually or through processes that are disparate between systems and multiple parties. And then also if there is a central intermediary between parties that has some inefficiencies or challenges, it's important to note that it is the central intermediary themselves that can offer better services to the parties that are interacting on their platforms through DLT. So it is a combination of these things that often is a very good indication that distributed ledger technology is a good tool to bring to bear. And then as businesses leverage this technology, they can expect to reduce operational costs. We talked about the lack of requirement of data reconciliation. In and of itself, that reduces a lot of the operational costs, reduction in manual processes, reduction through workflow automation, and improved efficiency through that, digitization of assets and the entire life cycle of that digital asset improving through the use of smart contracts and blockchain is certainly a big aspect of reduction of operational costs. And then we talked about this single shared source of truth and shared processes between parties, reducing risk, reducing compliance risk, reducing counterparty risk, and through the mechanisms used through distributed ledger technology, also enabling immutable logs and audits in the case where something, where there is a difference of opinion between parties. So all this reduces risk, as well as a key point here as well is through settlement being able to complete quickly. Risk is also reduced in multi-party transactions. And this reduction in risk then means that companies have to, don't require the large reserves that they would have required otherwise to mitigate the risk. And that then increases liquidity. So generally speaking, the entire multi-party ecosystem benefits from having these shared, trusted, standardized processes, as well as a shared source of truth that they can all trust. All right, I'll go a little bit into our product overview next. This is our VMware blockchain platform, which is our distributed ledger technology platform. And I'll start first with our approach to building our platform. So we start first with the innovative technology. We've started through solving some of the key issues that distributed ledger technology and DLT and blockchain have today. We have done core research to solve several of the problems. Inefficient consensus is a big problem. Several of you may have heard things about Bitcoin and other things being inefficient. We have completely solved that problem. Our systems are extremely efficient. On the other end of the spectrum, performance and transaction finality. The systems require time for transactions to complete, for them to be persisted in the blockchain network. Performance and throughput of transactions is typically low. We've solved those performance and transaction finality issues. And then privacy is also super important in the enterprise, and delivering privacy while still maintaining the highest levels of data integrity and while providing granular privacy and data segregation are also aspects of our key innovative technology. And this all is basically that layer that has the cryptography and the consensus. All that is happening as part of this base innovation layer. We then take that innovative technology, and in true VMware fashion, we abstract away all the complexity. It's fantastic technology, but our customers don't need to deal with the complexity. So we abstract that away. We create virtual execution environments in which our customers can deploy their smart contracts or their distributed applications to the blockchain. And we enable several languages, several smart contract languages on the same platform. And then we also layer over that a lot of Day2 operational requirements for the enterprise, things like monitoring, logging, being able to understand what's happening in a decentralized network, which can be complicated given the distribution of nodes and so on. So all that is part of taking this innovative and complex technology, but then bringing it to our enterprise customers in a way that they can consume and it interoperates with their existing systems. And then we take this and develop, as I mentioned, we have a very strong customer base, and we know what it takes to run these critical business applications through our co-innovation and our partnership with our financial services customers as well. And always reliable, always available, always secure platform is what we take this and what we strive to be to our enterprise customers. So we look for extreme robustness. Things like the high performance that we maintain does not degrade even under sustained stress. Very strong resilience, rapid recovery from extreme disasters, and then layering over that our 24/7, 365 global enterprise-grade support that customers know and love from VMware. So we take all that and we offer it to our customers in that packaging and through tools and technologies to engage with us for the life cycle of their products through our global support if and when it's required. All right, so here we have a high-level architecture of our product. It starts at a foundational level. This is where we have all our innovative technology. We started this several years ago with scalable Byzantine fault tolerance. This is a technology that was researched in our research labs at VMware. It is through scalable Byzantine fault tolerance that we develop our consensus, ordering, and execution functionality. The finality, fault tolerance, and so on is all through that Byzantine fault tolerance state machine replication. It is what actually drives the various nodes in the network to all have that consistent state. And then we also have this authenticated key value ledger, which has the cryptography. So again, the base layer has the key technology and elements of consensus and cryptography. And then you can see here here we go, yeah. You can see what we have described or shown here as virtual environments. So each of these virtual environments allows our customers to just deploy their smart contract or their application to the platform. So we have a virtual environment for the DAML smart contract language, another virtual environment for Ethereum, EVM, and so on, right? So it's the same platform, it's the same goodness that we're able to bring to various smart contract languages. It's a single platform, so our customers have to manage, operate just one platform, and they can deploy several smart contracts on the same platform, and not just several smart contracts, 7 smart contracts in different languages. And then it also leads to the opportunity to enable these smart contracts to interoperate with each other on the same ledger. So that's the foundational technology that brings together the first 2 building blocks I showed in the previous slide, the innovative technology, and then bring that together in a simple, extensible platform format. We're also seeing that, this is a rapidly evolving space. So having that kind of flexibility to start with one particular smart contract language, but then to be able to move to another one or have multiple at the same time, depending on the use case and depending on the fit of the smart contract language for the use case, is something that our customers are enjoying. And then we close that, we complete that with delivering the APIs for these smart contract languages in a very standard format. So the gray area that you can see here, this is all the perimeter of our product of VMware blockchain. And then here, this layer here is a representation of our customers or partners' applications that are running on the platform. And the APIs that we have are standard, so our customers can use standard tools, standard technology, things that they're familiar with to develop the applications, and those applications will run seamlessly on the platform. So that's the approach we've used. That's the architecture designed to support multiple smart contract languages, designed to be able to take all the innovative technology, but package it in a way that's easy to consume, that's been battle tested for the most critical and demanding enterprise use cases, and to bring the best of both worlds together, the innovation, but also the robustness that's required in these financial markets. Here I want to share a little bit about the deployment. So this is how it would actually look when you deploy it to the network. We've spent, a lot of time ensuring that what we do is simple. So we keep it very clean. You'll see on the right-hand side is what we call our replica network. This is really the distributed ledger or the blockchain, where all the replicas have the same state. They all look the same. In other cases, in alternative solutions, you might see a database that's separate. You might see services for consensus, for ordering, for some of the cryptography or notarization being a separate service or requiring something different. All the database requirements, the cryptography requirements, the consensus requirements are all consolidated into this replica network. So it's just several nodes depending on the fault tolerance that our customers desire and the scale that our customers desire. All those nodes look the same, and it's then very easy to manage, maintain, and operate. So that's on the right-hand side, that's our replica network. And then on the left, you see client nodes. These are essentially nodes that enable our clients and the applications to connect in to the blockchain network. So it's just 2 types of nodes. It's the replica nodes and it's the client nodes that make up our system. It allows us to have a clean architecture for scalability, because as the number of clients increase, customers can just add client nodes that enable interaction with the underlying distributed ledger. And it also enables a much cleaner architecture for things like privacy, where clients wanting privacy and data privacy between clients, that data can be filtered prior to sending it to the client nodes. Clients then see only the copy of data, the subset of data that they are privy to, and there's data segregation that can be enabled, whereby different data sets are made available on different client nodes. This architecture also enables various deployment formats. So a deployment could be in a format where a single entity operates all nodes. This happens in scenarios where the multi-party ecosystem, the parties that are using the network, may not want to take on the burden of operating nodes. So that is possible with this architecture. And we're seeing that several of our customers are starting there, but then moving in the direction of further decentralization, where client nodes can be distributed so that the clients can manage and operate their own client nodes. And then further on, even the replica nodes being operated by a diverse or distributed set of entities. Things like regulatory insight and regulators operating a node, or auditors operating a node, is already things that are being considered. So that's a high-level view of the architecture. Again, the goal has been to keep it simple, to consolidate everything into similar nodes so that our customers don't have to deal with diversity, and be able to kind of have a simple architecture that is easy to then operate and manage. So taking that innovative technology, taking the simple architecture, we layer over that these enterprise-grade features and functionality that we know and expect our customers will need. So simplified deployment, this, given VMware's heritage in the virtualization side of the house, leveraging that technology to be able to make it very easy to deploy. Deploying a blockchain network is a matter of hours, doesn't require days or weeks or more, as alternatives might require. The monitoring and logging of features and functionality for a distributed system, ensuring that logs are coming in and synchronized from the various nodes in the system, and being able to monitor and log the entire blockchain network, and be able to be proactive as well as reactive to understanding if there are issues in the system. We also have choice of consumption. So today we see our customers requiring on-premises solutions, given the high level of regulation, given the variables, being able to kind of start in a place where there are less variables and they have more control over this over the scenarios through on-premises deployment and management and operations of the network by them in their environments. We're also seeing more of cloud requirements. So whether it's in the private cloud context or on the public cloud, a SaaS product where VMware manages and operates the underlying stack, and customers run their blockchains in that environment, as well as areas of technology that we're developing. And then you take all this and we really look at the long life cycle for our customers. It isn't just about getting things, creating the solution. It is about taking it to production, and then throughout the life cycle after that production, whether it's the requirements for the robustness that I talked about, but also the enterprise-grade support that we bring to bear for our customers. And having designed this, researched it, developed it from the ground up ourselves, every line of code is something that's come from VMware, and we are best able to support it. All right. A few important features for production and beyond. Sometimes we see that in this space there has been a lot of time and energy being spent on proof of value, proof of concepts, and so on. But as our customers are thinking of it, These are several features and functionality that need to be top of mind early, because as things are brought to production, these are very critical features and functionality that are required. So things like, we call it online blockchain capacity management. We have customers where it's, the volumes are in the terabytes per day. And when people think of blockchain, they think of immutability, and that data that goes into a distributed ledger can never be deleted. But it has to be done in the right way. There are regulatory requirements, there are capacity requirements whereby data pruning is required. So being able to do this data pruning in the right way through a trusted mechanism, and at the same time having a full copy of the entire data so that there's cryptographic proof still available that everything was done appropriately and was validated and through from the start of time. Both those can be achieved. It has to be done in the right way. And this is kind of innovative technology that we bring in that foundational layer. Things like reconfiguration, when additional clients have to be added, additional nodes need to be added to scale the network, that being done in a trusted and authenticated fashion, as well as upgrades. Upgrades in the context of distributed ledger technology is also very interesting, because it isn't, you can't do rolling upgrades, so to speak, right? Because you have all the nodes that have to maintain the same state, and doing that in a way that's, again, trusted, so that all the nodes do it in a way that there is no malicious ability even during that window. Those are all things that we have developed and maintained in our system. I do want to bring everyone's attention to this piece here. Essentially, the point I want to make here is that we have our surface area for our product, which includes the virtualization layer, our VMware blockchain layer, as well as the runtime engines for the smart contracts, are all integrated and delivered through VMware, and we also support it. So on the right-hand side, all the blue that you see in the middle is something that VMware brings to our customers. So our customers just have to deal with the hardware and the application. And we kind of bring that single throat to choke concept for support, for delivery of software, for testing and packaging all that software together so that the interoperability exists and it's our customers don't have to piece it together. So that's what you see on the right-hand side. And as I mentioned before, typically you might, in alternatives, you might find there's a separate database layer, there's a blockchain layer, or a runtime engine has to be integrated with it. And just the integration, the deployment, the support, it just, it's a cascading amount of complexity that customers have to deal with. So it's with that mindset of bringing this innovative technology, but in a way that enterprises can consume effectively is what we have used to design this right-hand side here. All right, I do want to take a minute to kind of package all this together and also reiterate a couple points that I missed earlier. So first, as we think of our product, I mean, when we think of it holistically, our initial, our North Star is data integrity. So data integrity, given we are moving to this world where there are digital assets, where the value of the data in these systems is ever increasingly going high, the data integrity at its foundation is very important. And the systems that we're using, such as the Byzantine fault tolerant state machine replication that I mentioned before, that really enables our system to have a very, very high level of data integrity. It actually enables data integrity even in the presence, not just of faults, but also of malicious threat. So there could be a subset of nodes up to anything under 1/3 of the nodes that could be behaving maliciously, and still both the data integrity as well as the availability of the system is not impacted. So that's at the data integrity level, both the actual data as well as concepts like double spend, where the same asset could be duplicated. Those are things that we have at the basis been very, very kind of maniacally focused on. Every single thing we do, whether it's the upgrades I talked about or the reconfiguration, is done in a way that ensures that it meets the Byzantine fault-tolerant principles, and in that way ensures that the data integrity of the system is met. And then we layer over that things like privacy. I talked about privacy and data segregation through tight integration with the smart contract languages. Things like sub-transaction privacy and the granularity of privacy at that level is what we deliver, so that in multi-party networks, when there are transactions with multiple parties involved, the parties that have been involved in a sub-transaction of that overarching transaction only see that piece of the sub-transaction. They don't need to see all the other legs of the transaction. So that's the privacy piece. The authentication and the verifiability, these all are in the, are provided through our cryptographic techniques, and both the authentication and validity of the transactions as well as the data are delivered through it, and the clients who get that copy of data can independently verify that the data they have is authentic. So those are all the key technologies on the left-hand side there, the blue ones. And then we bring that together with all the enterprise requirements on the right-hand side. So you see performance, that's a very key focus area for us. Delivering performance while still maintaining that high level of data integrity has been a challenge for the industry. And we've really been able to do that through our unique research. That research, we have open sourced the implementation, Concord BFT, and it is that Concord BFT that's our foundational layer for our Byzantine fault tolerance in our stack. So we have very high performance and throughput. This is for complex transactions. This is transactions that have high amount of data, high number of approvers and authorization required, and so on. And maintaining that performance even in the face of continued stress is what we deliver through our platform. And then we talked about deployment and upgrades, monitoring and logging, and enterprise grade support that we bring to bear as well. So that's what I had on our blockchain platform. There's a lot of interesting technology. There's a lot of details at every layer, whether it's the cryptography and the consensus, whether it's how we have abstracted the complexity away and created virtual environments and allowed those virtual environments to all use the same blockchain network, or the mechanisms we are bringing to bear in the context of blockchain, things like upgrades that are unique. Each of those could be a topic in and of itself for a future discussion, and we're happy to do that with you. I do want to move to a couple of customer case studies as well. And yes, that's our next topic on our agenda. So I'll start with the ASX. This is the Australian Securities Exchange. They have an application they call CHESS, which is all their post-trade clearing, settlement, registration, all happens through that CHESS application. And that CHESS application is pretty outdated, written a couple decades ago, and they really needed to re-platform that entire CHESS application. And in the process, they really look at what is the next best technology that will enable them to do that. So they have now been working with us for a long period of time. They've been one of our design partners, where we are bringing together what's called Chess Plus. That's the new version of their chess application, which will run on VMware blockchain along with a DAML application. So the Chess Plus application is written using the DAML smart contract language, and a deep integration with DAML and VMware blockchain is what enables the solution for the ASX. Their old message-based system is what they're transforming to use this blockchain network as their central shared source of truth. It reduces manual processing tremendously, reduces error rates. Reporting and auditing are also improved through this mechanism. And eventually, really, the goal here is that the data reconciliation is not required anymore, since all parties that are operating on this network see the same data, see it at the same time, and settlement happens very effectively. Their their approach really, as they considered the technologies they would use and the partners they would use to bring this, it's a pretty immense undertaking when you think about it. It's the entire Australian equities market that will be underpinned by VMware blockchain with this DAML application. And the data integrity, the availability, the resiliency of the system was super important, so that the always on, always secure, always available mindset that I mentioned before was very much front and center when they considered their design partners and the technology they would use. Apart from that as well, the high performance and scale. We're talking about the entire securities post-trade clearing and settlement happening on this platform. So performance and scale were tremendously important. Through the COVID times, actually, given the volatility, the performance peaked even further than what was anticipated previously. So a big focus and importance on performance and scale. And then really about being able to deliver this in a way that can be trusted, even in the event of malicious activity. As I mentioned before, the ability to tolerate, and this is inbuilt in the system, up to one third of the system being down, being maliciously, acting maliciously. So all these things were what drove the ASX requirements, and we're very excited to be partnering with them on this very transformational and courageous journey. I do also want to share a little bit about Broadridge Financial Solutions. This is another one of our deep engagements in the financial services industry. Just last week, they announced their distributed ledger repo platform that they launched, and already delivering over 30 billion in transactions for the repo market. As several of you must know, the repo markets today are quite operationally intensive, a lot of manual intervention required. These are complex life cycles for short-term loans, and the inefficiency in the system is something that Broadridge has worked to really transform through this integration of VMware blockchain technology with a DAML application. So again, our deep collaboration and integration with DAML is what's enabled the solution as well. Through the process of creating, again, a shared source of truth for all these multiple parties, whether it's that have to come together to deliver on a repo transaction, for them to have the single shared source of truth, again, not requiring messages to be transmitted back and forth. Conceptually, what they've done is they've immobilized the underlying security, and through a smart contract, they're actually transferring ownership of that collateral, so that the short-term loan can be made way more effective. So the inefficiencies in the collateral transfer is what they've been able to really transform through delivering the solution. And again, over here, given kind of the implications of this to the rest of the market, given that it is a very important systemic financial market function, the resiliency of the system, the data integrity of the system, the ability to recover from disasters and very quickly able to recover from them in the event of extreme disasters, and the availability of VMware's global production support were all elements that were very interesting to Broadridge. And it's been a tremendous journey with them, and we are very excited to see the success of the platform. With that, I have shared kind of a very high-level overview. Quick for you, like I mentioned, there are several topics that we can dive into deeper in the future, should you be interested. If there are questions that we aren't able to complete, please send them to us at askvmwareblockchain@vmware.com, and visit our website. You can reach us through our website as well. All right, do we have time for a few questions?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tanya. And to everyone watching, we'll be sure to provide these links to in a follow-up email as well as a recording. So we've received a number of questions. I think a good place to start is somebody asks, what was the impetus for VMware starting a blockchain business unit, and when did it start?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So VMware has a lot of research and innovation in the space of distributed systems. When you think of VMware's core business, it's about managing a very disparate set of virtual machines or systems for our customers. So it was a very natural extension of that. Our research teams have been working since 2015, 2016 on this very core research. It's we have through our website, you can go and find our research page. It is technology that forms the foundation, the scalable Byzantine fault tolerance. And again, it's very natural for VMware to be bringing very innovative technology to our customers in a form that they can consume. We also have a lot of strengths in the financial services space. We have a lot of deep partnerships and collaboration on the innovation side already happening with our customers in various different areas of technology, and extending that to blockchain was quite a natural thing for VMware to do.
Thank you. I think you've touched on this throughout your presentation, but someone asks kind of what were the main factors for choosing an enterprise DLT solution over other tech ones for the repo market specifically?
For the repo market specifically, yes. So, conceptually, when you think about the repo market, again, there's several entities involved. There's the custodians. There's the parties that are actually interacting and transferring the asset, as well as the cash and so on, right? So all of them, and maybe more so the repo industry, given it's kind of currently so operationally intensive, and the requirement where if everyone has that shared source of truth and a shared set of processes, the efficiency it could deliver was very high. So why distributed ledger technology? Because now all the parties can see the same truth. So they all have the same view of the ledger. This system can be decentralized further. So starting out, being able to use the distributed ledger technology and then being able to take it into the direction of further decentralization was a key aspect of the choice as well. And then going back to the earlier point I made, the fact that this decentralization, by nature of decentralization, also includes this very high data integrity that allows for malicious fault tolerance, and then the ability to automate the workflow and to be able to ensure that the workflow actually happens as the parties understand it will, the ability to cryptographically prove that things have been done as anticipated, reduces all the things we talked about, the errors, the reconciliation requirements, the counterparty risk. So it's a very natural choice for the repo market.
Thank you. I hope that helped answer the question. So John asks, what is the highest sustained transactions per second volume that VMware blockchain has achieved? I know you mentioned it in respect to Broadridge.
Yeah, so, the performance is always an interesting question, right? And it's always it depends. It depends on the workload. I think it's safe to say that we have designed our system from the ground up for performance. So all the way from the scalable Byzantine fault tolerance, which is unique research that's come from VMware, layering over that our choice of technology, the choice of the software, C++, RocksDB, and all the technology choices, and then including things like pre-execution, batching, parallelism, all those things have driven the highest levels of performance. So while it's difficult for me to give you an exact number, the mileage varies depending on the use case and depending on the workload. That's certainly something we're quite proud of, the performance that our system is able to deliver, and that continues to remain a major focus for us, and we'll continue to improve the performance as the market needs higher and higher performance.
Just jumping back to the repo use case you mentioned, somebody asked if you could explain why DAML and VMware make the collateral management more simplified and how that works.
Yes, that's a great question. This is, again, when you think about how we've brought this together, we've brought the strengths of three entities together. Broadridge, with their experience and expertise in the financial services industry; Digital Asset, which is the creators of DAML, with their experience in the smart contract layer and what the workflow requirements are in the financial services industry; and VMware Blockchain, with the blockchain technology, with the ability to bring these enterprise-grade features to bear. And DAML, in and of itself, is a is a really strong language when, when it comes to very complex workloads, where there are multiple approvers required, where there are multiple legs of a transaction, and being able to ensure that there's no double spend, so the data integrity primitives, the privacy primitives, and by coupling very deeply between DAML and VMware blockchain, we're able to ensure that across the board, from the application through to the actual underlying infrastructure, these primitives are maintained. So DAML is a great language for this context. Our integration is deep, and we're able to bring about the end-to-end solution for the repo use case I described.
Thank you. And I think time for one last question. So somebody asked, how does ASX manage the transition from the legacy system to the new technology, and any best practices available that you would share? Also, what role does kind of VMware play in that transition?
Yeah, so that's a very big question, I'd say, or the answer can be quite long, and I'll briefly say that ASX is going about this very methodically. There's regulatory oversight involved as well. VMware has been participating very closely with ASX through that process. They have a hybrid plan where the underlying technology is being transformed, but their customers can still use the old message-based system should they choose to. And I shouldn't, it's their clients, there's software providers, their broker dealers that connect into their platform. So there is a plan to enable that transition and to allow for that to happen organically in some cases, but it is an involved process, and we have been working very closely with ASX to enable that seamlessly. There's a lot of industry-wide testing. There's a lot of integration between the entire piece of the stack. All that is happening very effectively there.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge question for a huge project. So thank you to everyone for your questions. Just before we close out here, I'd like to give Tanya the last word. Clearly, a lot of developments and projects coming out of VMware. What should we keep an eye out for in the next year, 5 years, 10 down the road for VMware blockchain?
Yes, like I said, our platform is designed for the enterprise, for business critical use cases. We have a very deep integration with DAML today. We have an Ethereum product that is ready for customer trials right now. So we are going to be looking to bring that to market and engage with customers on Ethereum applications. So that should be coming in the next year plus. And we're also talking about a continued focus to bring this innovative technology to our customers and deliver it in a way where we are, there is sometimes a question in these very highly regulated industries, how robust is the technology? Can we take the risk to move to it? We are bringing this technology in a way that customers can trust that they can bring their highest, most critical business applications to production and have, VMware supporting them through the entire life cycle.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tanya, for your time, and to the team at VMware for joining us. If you enjoyed today's presentation, we will share a recording of it online, as well as circulate links to learn more and get in touch if you have any remaining questions. We also have a great library of content with GBBC members, including Digital Asset, who presented on DAML, if you're curious about learning more about the smart contract language mentioned today. Thanks again, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Tanya, and thank you, VMware.
Thank you.